You're watching PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everybody, welcome to PIX on Politics Daily. I'm Dan Mannarino, and just before I get to the order of business for today, I am going to be speaking one-on-one with Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis on PIX on Politics. In full disclosure, the interview is going to happen today, but it's going to air tomorrow. Obviously, because of the whole redistricting battle and the Supreme Court decision that came down that said that her district can remain intact. She was fighting for that not to be redrawn, and it now looks like she will cruise to victory because of the Supreme Court decision. Although you have a Justice Sonia Sotomayor saying Supreme Court has always said they wouldn't get involved in state issues, and here they are getting involved in a state redrawing issue. So she dissented, but it looks like the Supreme Court made that. But the reason I'm bringing up Nicole Malliotakis today is because today is the big House vote for Iran, and it struck whether or not the president has to go to Congress and get Congress to approve a continuation of war. It fell apart in the Senate, so now it's the House's turn to vote today. I'm going to talk to her about that and see how she's going to vote. So that's what's happening kind of in the political world right now. And obviously, we've been talking a lot about ICE, right? And whether or not it should exist, whether it should be abolished, it depends on who you talk to. And obviously, there's a lot of raids that have been happening in New York, New Jersey. We spoke to the Jersey City mayor about what unfolded in Jersey City just a few weeks ago when that ICE agent told the city council member, "I don't need to show you a warrant, bro." And now Mikey Sherrill, the governor of New Jersey, is saying, if you come in contact with ICE, take out your phones, record them. And she created this portal where you can upload those videos to kind of go through all of these interactions. But there's more. There is now legislation on every kind of level, federal level, state level, local level as well. And Assemblyman Ravi Bhalla, you may know him as the former mayor of Hoboken, New Jersey. He is joining me now to talk more about legislation in New Jersey. So great to have you, Assembly member.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
I think this is my first time talking to you as not the mayor.
That is correct.
Right, okay.
It's fairly recent.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So let's talk about kind of congratulations, by the way, on the new position.
Thank you.
On why you think that this legislation in particular that you are proposing will crack down on ICE New Jersey, and why you feel that there's a need.
Yeah, we have a package of legislation that's multifaceted. Right now, these are not normal times, Dan.
Yeah.
We have an assault not just on immigrant communities. Immigrants, parenthetically, are the backbone of our country. They are working families. They do jobs that keep our economy strong, and they're under assault.
Mm-hmm.
So, in times of crisis, our communities in the 32nd Legislative District are demanding strong action to really confront and protect those vulnerable communities.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about what we could do legislatively to achieve that goal. And that's what's really driving this process.
So the bill is called Fight Unlawful Conduct and Keep Individuals and Communities Empowered Act. If you kind of lay it out, it might spell a specific thing.
That's a coincidence.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Can I say it? It would spell F-ICE.
Sure.
And so that's like that acronym that's kind of being presented. But residents will be able to sue immigration officials. That's a big part of what this is being presented, right?
Yeah, this is a part of a nationwide movement.
Yeah.
It's very important. What it does is it creates a private right of action for a resident of the state of New Jersey to seek redress for a violation of their rights under the U.S. Constitution or federal law against an enforcement agent.
Could they not before?
Under the New Jersey Civil Rights Act, there is the possibility of a private right of action under that law, but we want to make sure it's very clear, as they're doing in Illinois, in California, in other states, to create this private action. Very distinct, but really kind of make sure that when people get kidnapped, as they did in Jersey City and Hoboken, 10 people, no probable cause, no judicial warrant. Mm-hmm. What is the remedy? Where can they go to the law to seek justice? And that's what this is about. It's about fairness, equity, justice, and really upholding our values as Americans.
Yeah. And so when you look at that at face value, right, what would you consider an unconstitutional action by an ICE official to somebody on the street?
A false arrest.
Okay.
An arrest without probable cause.
Yeah.
Racial profiling. Excessive force. There are all kinds of things that ICE is doing, breaking into a home, kidnapping children, These are all gross violations of our law that if any local police officer was doing that, they'd be subject to accountability. We need accountability. We need to make sure that the law provides a very clear remedy to make sure that when federal agents, in Minneapolis, murder American citizens, when they kidnap individuals in New Jersey, that those individuals can go back and seek legal redress. And that's what's happening, not just in New Jersey, but across the country. We're trying to make sure that those type of people are protected in our society.
Do you think that there is a place for ICE to exist in America?
ICE used to be called, way back, I believe, the INA.
Yeah.
This is civil civil immigration enforcement. So there were not, knocks on the door. There was not this catch-22 situation where you're called for an appointment, you're following what you're told to do, and then when you get to your appointment, you're taken and sent to prison.
Which is what really, that was a big time in New York City too, in Lower Manhattan at the federal courthouse, where a lot of folks were showing up. I don't know if you followed with what Brad Lander was doing and a few other elected officials who would show up there to watch these people go to their court appearances, try to follow the rite of passage, and then they'd be detained by ICE.
So how is that right? You're trying to follow the law, and by following the law, you're sent to prison.
Yeah.
And you're separated from your families. So
and the argument, I'm sure is that, they were here, that their original coming here was illegal, and that's the argument that they make.
Yes, but even if that is correct, and every situation is different, they still have remedies under immigration law, and those remedies, that it's called due process, which is fundamental, and it does not exclude immigrants. When we talk about equal rights under the law, there's no carve out for anybody. If you're in this country, if you're in this state, if you're present here, you have equal rights under the law. That's what America's about. And we want to make sure that in the immigration process, we want to get, we're not against making sure that the worst, so to speak, are held accountable, and subject to deportation proceedings in a lawful manner. But when you're taking a 5-year-old child and separating them from their mother, when you're just taking families off the street with no probable cause, no basis, that's not what immigration enforcement should be.
And no recourse, right? So that's what this bill would do, it's to deter those kind of actions from happening from an ICE agent that may think twice now because there might be legal action.
Yes, we're trying to do everything within our toolbox to disincentivize a larger infrastructure of ICE activity that's being backed by a $75 billion investment into the agency. So we're talking about private detention centers. We're talking about individuals who are, who are being incentivized to become agents of ICE with no training, with criminal backgrounds. This is a whole ecosystem that is very threatening to immigrant communities in this country. So we're doing everything we can legislatively to make sure we combat that. We disincentivize both individuals as well as private actors from contracting, doing business with ICE, or even being employed by ICE.
So explain this one to me, because one of the bills would ban current ICE agents from holding public jobs in New Jersey, meaning that they couldn't be a government employee, a teacher, a public official. Why do you want to go that route?
Because we want to make sure that any individual who wants to become employed by this rogue agency knows that they're making a choice. If they do that, they're disqualified in New Jersey from becoming a teacher or a local police officer.
At the same time or like later on?
Either or.
Okay.
As this bill is written, if signed into law, it would effectively make sure that we have a mechanism to let individuals know that if you want to sign up for this agency, you're going to be disqualified from being near our children. You're going to be disqualified from being near our vulnerable communities because we don't feel that this agency is something that represents our values as Americans.
So what are the next steps for the bill? You think it'll pass? The bill?
Yes, I absolutely do. it needs to go through the whole legislative process.
Right.
But, Governor Sherrill has been very strong on making sure that the governor protects our communities. And, as it goes through the process, as we talk to leadership, as we talk to our colleagues, as we, most importantly, talk to our residents, they want to see action. They want to see action from their leaders, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Assemblyman, I get often the question of, should local law enforcement be able to get involved or arrest an ICE agent if the ICE agent is doing something illegal? It seems like it's a touchy subject, right? Is that what should be happening?
It is a very touchy subject, and I almost feel as a former mayor, this puts local law enforcement in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
Because I've always supported our police department in Hoboken. I always like to say they're the best police department in New Jersey, bar none, because they are. And when people conflate our police department, which is actually protecting communities, working with our communities, with ICE agents, it puts them in a very difficult position vis-a-vis, what do I do? And you want to avoid conflict between two law enforcement agencies at different levels. So it's something that, you have to be delicate about. Right. You have to navigate in a proper way.
But while I have you here, I want to talk about another big thing, for your community as well, that you were really instrumental in, and that's the I'm gonna blank on the name now, the Portal Bridge, right?
You are the Turnpike Trap.
The Turnpike Trap, and it was going to be 4 lanes and all of and
Sure.
all the things, and now it seems like the governor has said, well, it's not happening. We're going to reduce it.
Huge victory.
Huge victory. Explain it to me. Lay it out.
Well, they wanted to make 8 lanes going into a 2-lane Holland Tunnel.
Yeah.
Didn't make any sense. They said if we increase the number of lanes, it'll reduce traffic. It's actually the opposite. Induced demand shows that when you increase the number of lanes, you increase supply. People start to drive more. So bad transportation policy, huge adverse environmental effects on environmental justice communities in Newark and Jersey City. And it's not an investment in what we need, which is more mass transit in our urban areas. So with a lot of advocacy, a lot of public awareness, a lot of, leadership at multiple levels of government. The Murphy administration actually reduced the number of lanes prior to leaving
to 4.
To 4 coming into Lincoln Tunnel. And most recently, we advocated successfully, and Governor Sherrill decided that this is going to be a repairing of the infrastructure of the Newark Bay Bridge, which we absolutely agree with.
Newark Bay Bridge. I said Portal Bridge. That was the Newark Bay Bridge. Yeah,
the Newark Bay Bridge, which needs to be upgraded, but it doesn't need to be expanded into 8 lanes.
Yeah.
So her decision to make this a repaired, modernized 4-lane bridge with shoulders that's done with labor work, is a win-win for the unions. It's a win for the communities, and it's a win for good government. And hopefully that savings can be reinvested into mass transit, into improving New Jersey transit, into improving other forms of mass transit. So we rely less on cars, which also has environmental benefits.
There was a lot of talk about whether there should be a toll because people cut through Jersey City to kind of get around some things, and do you support that or no?
It hasn't really been looked into.
Right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, there unfortunately there was a means to cut through to avoid the traffic approaching the Holland Tunnel, and it creates traffic distress in portions of Jersey City. Hopefully there are means through traffic engineering where that kind of issue can be addressed.
Yeah.
Without imposing tolls, but we'll see. It's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah. All right. Assemblyman Ravi Bhalla, great to have you here in person.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Keep us posted on the bills, okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. And don't forget, I'll be talking to Nicole Maliotakis. We'll have that posted tomorrow here on PIX on Politics. But in the meantime, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.